Hi and welcome to another YouTube video. In today's video, I want to show you this huge suburban almost mansion that I've built that is supposed to be a teenager's dream house. So every little decision that I made in this house, especially on the interior, was with a teenager's wants and needs in mind. Since I started building this when the high school years expansion pack just came out, it took me a while to finish because this house is bigger than it looks. But yeah, as the high school years expansion pack came out, it was all about the teenagers and those high school years, as the name suggests. And so I just thought that was a very useful thing to do and to keep in mind while building a house, and also a super fun challenge, because usually we think about the adults that live in our Sims houses and their style and their needs first, and then maybe if they have children or a partner and stuff, they are usually like the second thought and kind of have like one little room or space where they can live out their personality as a Sim, but the main house is decorated after like the first Sim that you played with, which was usually a young adult Sim. But with this pack, the focus is all on the teens, like I already said, and so I wanted hints of them, not just in their rooms, even though I went all out with their rooms, just like to have their sanctuary and their little space to express their personality fully without anyone else's influences. I wanted them to be visible and present all throughout the house, inside and exterior, especially in the backyard. And so yeah, that took a while to accomplish, but just in general, there is a lot of almost backstory to this house, so I really want to share this with you. So I don't know how many of you have seen that video of mine, but when the little canvas kit just came out, I've built 3 tree houses that kind of form a house, a full functioning house together. And I conceptualized that house as sort of a children's paradise home. So it has children's wants and needs in mind, and it's basically the perfect house for a little family with 3 children without really confining to like societal standards and stuff, because children just want to have fun like girls or at least according to Cyndi Lauper. But yeah, so I just threw away every conception of a house that I had in mind before and just thought to myself, what would a child want in a house? And I had also played that best friends forever scenario that had just come out with that little family basically. And when I heard that the new pack was all about teenagers, I thought this is a sign to age up those 3 children into teenagers and see what they are like, what they are growing up to be. And so I thought those parents who already built the perfect house for their children would move, because apparently money is not an issue with them, and they would build with their teens together their perfect house now for this new life state basically, which of course is a lot of luxury, but this is The Sims and we can live out our dreams. So I'm going to allow this family to have this, especially because I love them so dearly. So I'm going to explain to you very quickly who they are, what their personality is like, and what they want from life, so that you can understand a little bit more of their personality and stuff. So first we have the parents, the couple, which are Alvin and Brandon. They are a gay couple who adopted 3 children when they were still toddlers, and those 3 children are Raphael, Aubrey, and Eve, who get along super well, who are they are a family because they are adopted family, but on top of that they are also found family because they're all because I played the best friends forever scenario with them, they are all such good friends, and it's such a nice and wholesome family to play with when you just want some escapism, because sometimes The Sims can be very dramatic, and this is just my family to play if I just want the most wholesome little world, even though there was some drama when they all got into high school and started dating people, and 2 of them had a crush on the same person and stuff. So there was still drama in this family, but they all was so close and put each other first and stuff. And those gay parents are the ones that already built this beautiful, I shouldn't say beautiful, I've built it, but who have built those tree houses for their children to basically live their most perfect adventurous childhood lives. And the 3 children were very, very thankful for that. And when they were still children, they had one room together where they slept underneath this kind of tent with all of those those lights and stuff. This tent from the little campus kit. I hope I am going to remember to put like a little image on the screen so that you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, they slept underneath that, like all three next to each other. But now that they are teens, I decided to definitely give like all three of them their own rooms, and like huge spaces to kind of live out themselves and their personality. But I put the doors to their three rooms like all facing each other and like pretty close to each other. And there is one kind of like hallway living room section in the middle so that they can still all meet up and spend a bunch of time together if they want to, so they don't have to miss each other even though they have their own rooms now. The first one of the three children that I aged up was Raphael, and he somehow aged up with like a super buff muscular body type, as like teenagers sometimes just like randomly do. Like sometimes they also have like very interesting shapes, but yeah, so Raphael aged up and was like very like huge and muscular, and so I made him like sort of an athlete, especially when it came to the high school and the after school activities. I made him an athlete, and his first trait from his childhood was that he loves the outdoors, and I thought that also kind of fits with an athlete, so I made him like jog out in nature a lot, but also like when he plays, for example, football on the field, he is a lot in nature too. So I really hope for him that he's not like allergic to anything, because I remember that from my days of school sports, and all the time in spring I just had the worst time in sports class because of allergies. But that's besides the point. This is about Raphael. And so as the second trait, I gave him active. And so yeah, that's kind of fun. Raphael was just like doing his own thing and is just like vibing with sports and has not really like shown interest in any of his classmates yet. Then the second person that I aged up was Aubrey, and Aubrey aged up to be, or like I made her age up to be a streamer and a gamer. So her first trait from childhood was outgoing, and I think she's still kind of like the life of the party and has like this huge awesome friend group. That kind of sounded like French group, but that's not what I meant to say. I meant to say friend group. I'm very sorry for my accent. I'm not a native speaker. But yeah, so she was outgoing as a child, and so I made her second trait to be a geek, because I thought that the streamer career perfectly to be outgoing and a geek. And then Eve, the third one, grew up with glasses, and so I kept her glasses. I just changed the model, and I know that's like sort of a stereotype with glasses, and I don't usually like to play into stereotypes, but this time it just worked out this way because she already had the trait genius as a child. And so I also made her a bookworm and kind of like this smart, sensible overachiever. She kind of like, all of them are sort of the same age, but she kind of has that like very sensible, like oldest sibling energy, which the other two I think sometimes desperately need. And then she uses those fantasy worlds and those books as sort of an escapism, as like those fantasy worlds where she can just like jump into and is not responsible for anything. And I think that's like a sort of character trope that a lot of people can relate to. And so yeah, I really do like Eve. And I also, when I decorated her bedroom, I went with a lot of like blue and ocean themes. That is something that happens kind of accidental, but I think if she had also this sort of escapism with her books and stuff, I can also see her really liking the idea of like the sea and of like sailing and exploration and adventure, or also just the calm that sometimes comes with the sea, at least when it's not storming. And so yeah, that is also like just a little fun fact about her character, that she also likes the sea. And yeah, Aubrey and Eve were the two who had a crush on the same guy from their high school who's called Nashua, which I thought was like a super pretty name. But ultimately Nashua decided to ask Aubrey out to prom and not Eve, which made me feel super sorry for Eve. But like Aubrey and Eve like talked it out, are still besties, and so yeah, I guess it's still very cute and wholesome. And Aubrey and Nashua looked like really good together on their prom. I can show you like a picture. I'm going to have to like re-listen to all of this and find the moments where I have to add pictures, but I just want to add pictures to all of this. And so with kind of like those stereotypes more or less that the three siblings like fit into, you can also kind of imagine their styles. But the parents also also have like a huge love for like minty colors and also for like a boho style. Like I think Brandon likes the boho style and Alvin likes those minty colors, which you can also see in the living room. I've cut out most of the interior decoration process because there was just way too much footage of this house. There were like way too many hours to show you everything, and so I wanted to set the focus on the 3 main bedrooms of the teens because that also was my main focus while building. And so I included these ones in the speed build footage and cut out the rest of the interior, but there's going to be like a very detailed guided tour of the house in the end where I talk a little bit more about the rest of the interior as well. But one thing that I can already kind of like spoil for you for the tour is that the living room is kind of split because I thought like there is oftentimes conflict when it comes to watching TV. If people still watch TV. I know a lot of us just like watch YouTube, watch Twitch as like entertainment in the evening, or like Netflix on their laptops and on their phones and PCs and stuff. But if you want to watch TV with your family, also just like as a thing to do together, sometimes there is conflict over what to watch. And with 3 very different teenagers and then also 2 like kind of stubborn adults, so like 5 different people with 5 different opinions in one house, I thought we need more than one TV and living room space. And so the actual living room is split in half, where one half is decorated in those like minty colors and has a huge TV, and the other one is like super planty and nice and has boho vibes and has a TV as well. And they are still sort of connected, but they are separated by some curtains. And I just thought that was like a super nice effect, especially because the curtains were in like a boho style with the material, but the color was minty, and so it was like the perfect transition between the 2 areas of the living room, and it was super fun. So I also made sure that the parents do not get overpowered by the teens, but all of them have something to bring to the interior design of the entire house. But yeah, now I want to talk a little bit more about my thought process behind this build and like kind of like my opinions on teenagers and what teenagers might want. So as I said, when they were children, they lived in like 3 tree houses that were connected by staircases, which is like super cool. But I think when you are a teenager, there is a lot more pressure to kind of like fit in, and especially a lot of pressure to leave behind that childish side of you that sometimes like should be protected a little bit to like bring you the joy of like just some little things that you can experience in life. But oftentimes like teenagers feel a lot of pressure, especially from their peers, to fit in and not be as childish anymore. And so I think when time goes on, especially when they come into high school already, they would not want to live in a tree house anymore that still has like a lot of their childhood memories, which I think they all cherish because they had like a lovely childhood. But still, like when it comes to their peers visiting them, I think there like are a lot that would not find it as cool of them to live in tree houses. And so I thought like having a big suburban mansion is something that like they can't do anything wrong with. It's like it very much fits in, but it's all about what is on the inside of this suburban house that kind of decides like the coolness factor and how this build is like a teenager's parrot. But first, let's get to the backyard. Because the front is just like nothing special. I wanted to create something that looks nice, but it's just a suburban house front. It's nothing special. But in the backyard, there first of all is a pool. There is a little pavilion that I thought is like super cute for just like romantic moments maybe between some teens at like a party. They all 3 have their own bikes because I think freedom is also a huge part of being a teenager. So not being as dependent on your parents anymore and just being able to drive wherever you want at any time. And of course, like a lot of teenagers, especially in America, also get their driver's license pretty early. But I think before that, the like driving a bike or riding a bike, I think it's called, is something that gives you that first step to freedom, I would imagine. And so they all three have like their own kind of specialized bikes for themselves, and then they have a pool, which I think is super cool in the summertime. There are also some music boxes outside to be able to have some pool parties maybe even, or to have like some nice barbecues and listen to music. And this time I even managed to put the music boxes underneath a roof so that not every time that it rains they break in your gameplay, which I think is pretty handy. Oh, and also there is like a secret sneak out passage, which is basically the kind of roof that is covering those music boxes. And yeah, there is also a huge fireplace that your Sims can sit around with their friends and kind of just like do s'mores, I think it's called, or in Germany we do stick bread on fire, which is also like super nice and cool and romantic. And then they can tell each other some like horror stories. I just played The Quarry. I don't know if any of you have played that, but there's also a scene where those like teenagers sit around a fire and like first tell themselves stories and then play truth or dare. And that's kind of like the scenario that I imagined here. And I think it's so interesting how when you think of those different phases of your life, how the teenager period is the thing where those like social events, just like those house parties and just get-togethers with your friends, have the most importance, I think. I think that also goes like sometimes into the college years, always depending, of course, on the personality of the person and the people around them. I know from my college experience, it was not like this because we were all very much achievement and goal focused. But usually in those like college and high school years, you are very much focused on like having that friend group and experiencing those like social connections and stuff. I think that's like a huge focus. And so I wanted to give these teens different places for super cool kind of social things to happen. And so in the basement, there is this sort of party room where they have a little bar, they have a dance floor, they have like a beer pong or just table tennis kind of table. And behind that table, there is a projector screen that they brought in from their Treehouse days. And then next to it, that is just like a little room for sitting together. And next to that is like a toilet for guests to come. And yeah, also there are 3 rooms. Of course, in Raphael's room, I put a lot of like sports equipment, but also a huge TV and stuff, because as much as being a teenager is a very social time, you also just need time for yourself to recharge and to kind of like find yourself, find your interests, and to kind of find out who you are. Not trying to pressure anyone who watches this who is a teenager. Like, you are never done with basically like finding out who you yourself are, and there is no need or no pressure to like when you become like 18 or 21 to know exactly like who you are and what you want to do. So yeah, just like having that own space to kind of like think about yourself and have like this little like, I don't know, sanctuary. I think that's how a lot of people, like especially a lot of teenagers, feel about their rooms. Like if they can lock the door and stuff, then it's just their little sanctuary where they can be on their own and recharge and just feel things and think things. It's like a very deep period of your life, and so I think that's just very important for them to have. And so Raphael also has his own little bathroom, which I also kind of like fitted in with the style of the entire room, giving him like a sports themed shower curtain and stuff. I thought that was quite fun, and so he just has everything that he's ambitious about and passionate about just all around him. Same with Eve. There are like these super nice beanbags that she can sit on and read books in, but there's also her desk with like all of her trophies and achievements kind of surrounding her, making her feel hopefully proud of herself and good because she deserves it. And then her whole like that part of her room is kind of like very much like reading and like achievement and working focused. But then when it comes to the side of her bedroom that has the bed in it, it's very dreamy. It has this like waterfall lights hanging over it. It's all like very intricately like detailed bed frame and stuff. And so I thought that was where she kind of lets out her like dreamy, fantasy loving, Leslie romantic side. And then bathroom is also very much like blue and like just like water and sea focused. And in Aubrey's room, I was able to do very cool things with the lights because I made the lights purple and then dimmed them down and then made some of them white to have sort of that lighting mix between purple and white, and it looks so good in my opinion. And it kind of like makes the whole room look so cohesive cohesive, even though of course I paid attention to it being cohesive before too. But she has this like huge gaming setup, and then she also paid attention to her background. She has some LED lights in the background. She has a space to sit, because I think she has friends in her room more often than the other two, who kind of also want to have their alone space, but I think she always wants to have someone over. And so I put a couch into her room, and she has like her whole dressing station, and her room is just like, I don't know, this feels like such a cool room, like that it just expresses this like coolness, and I don't know. I really like Aubrey and how she turned out. And I also really like her room. And her bathroom, I think, is my least favorite out of the 3 bathrooms, but it is one where I also played around with the lights a little bit, which at least gives the bathroom a tiny little bit of coolness factor too. And then this house has a weird little quirk where there was just like this huge room upstairs left over that I did not really know what to do with. And so I made it into sort of an attic space without it being in the attic. But I actually think that this is like, on the one hand, pretty realistic, because that is where they keep a lot of their stuff and their trophies and stuff. And you, especially with 3 teens, you have never enough storage space, and those are all like people who need so much stuff, and so they just have a little bit of space for their stuff. However, I do think that is a very, very useful area for gameplay if you want to play in this house, because if time goes on and there is maybe like another little toddler that needs some adopting, or one of the teenagers gets a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and that girlfriend or boyfriend is in a dire situation and needs some place to live and stuff, you can always expand the second story and just like use that space that I just used as storage space very differently. I think it could like fit maybe 2 more bedrooms, even if you just like squeeze it a little bit. And so yeah, I think it's always nice and very useful to have some expandable space, and that's exactly what this is. And also, if one of them develops a like space intensive hobby, that's a very useful space for that as well. And with that, I think this build is almost complete. I'm going to like be with you like in my voice still to kind of like guide you through the entire tour. But at this point, I already want to thank you for listening to me. I really hope that you liked and enjoyed this video. If you would consider subscribing, it would make me super duper happy, and I hope we'll see each other again, and we'll see each other now in the tour. Okay, so here we see the floor plan first. Here we have the 3 teenagers' rooms, who are spacious with their respective bathrooms and also the storage space. This is the ground floor with the split levels, not split level, but just split living room, the parents' bedroom and bathroom, the entire entry space with the staircases towards the upper floor and the basement, and on the right hand side just stuff that you need like a kitchen and an office. And there's also a guest bedroom. And this is the basement with the party room and the seating room and the toilet that is a little bit built like a public toilet. And so here we now see again the house from the exterior. I think it turned out kind of cute. I love the white and red contrast, even though that's not a color combination that I usually go for. We have that little pavilion, and next to it there was this super pretty debug item, which is sort of like an open tent. So I put like just a picnic basket and some blankets underneath that tent, and it makes it look like such a cozy space that I just want to hang out with. Next to it we have the kids or the teenagers' bikes, we have the fire station, the pool, and just like another view of the house from the side. I hope that you really like it, and now it is time to actually get into it. And so here we have the entrance area. It's nothing special, but you can see there's like a schedule where the teenagers can keep track of like their extracurriculars and just like their out of school activities, but also school and some like exams that they have to take. There was the split living room with the minty area and the boho area. I hope it's like you imagined, because I really loved building it. I loved the idea. It was a lot of fun to execute. This is the place where the parents do their work. So they sometimes maybe work from home, and they both have their own PC setups. This is the guest bedroom and as you can see, it has a lot less personality than the rest of the house, of course, because it's a guest bedroom, but I think it still looks very nice and clean. And now we get to one of my favorite bathrooms that I have ever decorated. I usually do not go colorful, but in this that time I just felt like oranges and colors, and I think they all just went so well together. And now we're in the parents' bathroom, and as you can see, Alvin with his love for minty colors definitely took over the bathroom, not the bathroom, the bedroom, but I guess that Brandon was okay with it. And this is the toilet that kind of belongs to the parents' bedroom, and this is the space between the 3 teens' bedrooms, and so if they miss each other and if they want to hang out with each other, they can meet up here, and I think it's a very nice space. And we're seeing Aubrey's room first, where she does her streams and just hangs out with friends or just by herself, just does some gaming. And I think it's like one of the coolest rooms I've ever created. I think I should maybe also upload this to the gallery as a separate room because it was a lot of fun to do, and I think like this type of style could be super useful for a lot of different sims. And this is the bathroom that belongs to it, but also played around a little bit with the lights. And here we see Eve just like reading a book in front of those, also again sea focused images. Here we have her desk with like all of her interests and achievements like spilling around it, and there's this like the more magical place where she sleeps, and with her little blue themed bathroom. And with Raphael we actually start with the bathroom just because they were right next to each other, and as you can see that one is also sports themed, and this is just, I tried to make just like a typical teen boys like bedroom, especially when it came to the area around the bed. The rest of it is of course not as typical because not every has like a whole fitness studio in his bedroom, but I think that's just a very Sims thing to do, to have the Sims hobbies just like directly in their bedroom. And now we're already in the party basement, which is also an area that I absolutely loved, so I kind of continued Aubrey's vibes with all of those like neon lights and those like purplish influences. This is kind of like a hangout lounge, which is like, I don't know, sort of like a private area, and I can imagine them maybe running some clubs here and just like having a great time. And so the bathroom in the basement, I wanted to be a little bit more like a public bathroom, because I think if you have a lot of people over, that's just something that makes a lot of sense. I hope you liked this build, I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope that maybe you're going to like some more of my videos as well, that you can see here in like some cards, like just a playlist with my usual builds, and just I'm going to put the first video where I talk about this family when they all were still kids. I'm going to put this here. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye!